what? The soul, coming right down to brass tacks, is the consciousness and energy of God. That's all. But that's everything. That's what the soul is. Consciousness and energy of God. Just because it doesn't seem so, when we walk around, we see this physical body and feel it and everything. But behind that is the great cosmic energy of God, held here under certain conditions. God's dream. And so, broadly speaking, the soul is nothing but consciousness and energy. The great eternal flame of God split up into rays. Each one of us is a little ray of God's great eternal flame, from which all things have come. Each one of us is a beam of that great flame. But if you know that beam, you can know the flame. Remember the illustration of the moving picture as the beam of light hits the screen. And all those actors are running about doing this. Many things, they represent the body. Now, when you withdraw the beam, the bodies pass away, but the light does. The light returns to its source. And so each one of us, each soul, remember, is a ray, a beam of God's great Spirit. And as that Spirit, this is the important point now, as that Spirit is eternal, so each one of us is eternal. As each one of us is a ray of that great eternal flame of God, individualized as a soul, each one is eternal, just as the great ocean itself is eternal. And so, one other thing which the Master brought out many years ago when he gave a lecture in Boston, or a series of lectures, was this, and I think it is well to remember it. The soul, though unborn, has some formal sort of existence. It's a little different. It's a little different. And I said to the Master, we were riding across the desert, I said, now you as Yogananda, I said, when this is withdrawn, will that be the end of it? He said, no. That can always be remembered, recollected as the incarnation of Yogananda. Although the soul is one with spirit, still it has some sort of a formal existence. It is just like the gas burner with the little flames coming up. Each one has a separate formal existence, hasn't it? But when it retreats into the great reservoir, then that formal existence is lost. But that can be recalled. Everything that ever happened, will happen, can be recalled. Just like in your own dream. Now you think about your own dream. You're dreaming now and you create me standing up here, anything you want. All right, in the morning you wake up, forget the whole business. And you go to sleep the next night. Before you go to sleep, you can recollect every bit of that, can't you? So God can do the same thing. But we have to be one with Him to do the recollecting. Remember that although the soul is unborn and eternal, still it has some formal, separate existence. And remember the illustration about the Master. That although he's gone, still, that incarnation as Yogananda can always be remembered. So watch out what we do. And always remember. So going on just a bit, what are souls? Souls, remember this, souls are radiating rays of spirit. Radiating rays of the one great flame of God. Now, as the flame is eternal, so every soul is eternal. Now going on, another thing the Master pointed out was this, that the souls are the atoms, so to speak, the tissue of spirit, and they are coextensive with spirit. As every atom in our body is coextensive with the whole of our being, so every atom as a soul, a ray of spirit, is coextensive with spirit, and if spirit is eternal, every soul is eternal. That's the important thing to remember. We're not just here today and gone tomorrow, but we are eternal because of the nature of spirit. And finally, souls are nothing but formally individualized spirit. Formally individualized spirit. Therefore, now this is important because we're trying to find out what the soul is. The souls have the characteristics of the eternal flame of God. Because they're nothing but individualized spirit itself. Therefore, they must be made up of the same characteristics and qualities that God, the eternal flame, has within himself. You can say, well, you get rid of the ego and what's left is the soul. That's right. But that's a negative statement. The positive statement is, for instance, if God is omniscient, so each soul of ours is omniscient. So try and separate the negative from the positive. And one other note here that is interesting. Because of their coexistence with spirit, although souls have a formal separate existence, when they are not punished by oblivion like matter is, when the body passes away, it passes into oblivion, but the soul, even though it has a separate existence from God, is not punished that way because it was never completely alienated from God. That's an important thing. Those words of the Master are wonderful. Let me read them to you. Because of their coexistence with spirit, referring to souls, those souls exist in formal separateness. We're separate from God. We can't imagine sometimes ever being one with God. But still, those souls exist in formal separateness. Still, they are not punished by death, like material things,